Now we move to EU. The European Union's chief election observer, Ivars Ijabs, has described Bangladesh's 13th national parliamentary election as credible, competitive, and pluralistic. Observing the election at 805 polling stations, Ijabs highlighted the transparency of the Election Commission and praised the freedom given to candidates to campaign. However, he raised concerns about the lack of women's representation in the political process, as well as digital harassment and derogatory remarks against women. Despite these issues, he noted that political parties peacefully accepted the results, both victories and defeats. The voter turnout was reported at 59.44%, marking a historically higher voter turnout, but the EU chief also pointed out the shrinking voter participation trend globally, which is concerning for democracies worldwide. Now we welcome back Ms. Shruti Dasgupta. She is joining us as international relations expert, joins us live from New Delhi. Thank you very much, Ms. Dasgupta, for staying with us. Now, there was bomb blast, there was claims of rigging, there was so many things, the reports coming in while the election was going on, including from Sheikh Hasina that this election is not legitimate. But now we have heard this from EU. So does it matter? Why is EU saying this and that counters many reports?
There were many election observers, Asuma. They were not just EU observers. There were some from Turkey. There were some from, I believe, India as well, and Pakistan and other neighboring nations. Because what happens, it was a very volatile situation in Dhaka about 18 months ago. So everybody's concerned whether democracy is back on tracks or not. So the statement from EU reflect a lot of things, but it does not reflect inclusivity. So it was not an inclusive election. That means there was a party that was banned, and it's the only party that was banned. Even if you reject Sheikh Hasina as the leader of that party or the chair of that party should have been allowed to contest. It has a very huge voter bank, which was disenfranchised almost by not giving them the choice to elect their particular political ideologists and leaders. So that is a question that is subtly inferred to in the statement by EU. The second part is that there was derogatory remarks against women, and that is true. The opposition now comprising of Jamaat-e-Islami called all working women prostitutes. And there were other very orthodox Sharia-like fundamentalist statements coming out from Jamaat-e-Islami. There were also campaign speeches where, in fact, not just Jamaat-e-Islami but BNP, the victor of this election, also had candidates spouting that Hindus should not vote, non-Muslims should not be allowed to go near the election booths. There were claims on social media where Hindu voters were making videos and sending out that we've been threatened that if you step out of your house to vote today, you shall face death. So there was voter suppression happening, but maybe not at very large scales, maybe in small pockets where fundamentalism runs very high or tempers run very, 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 very fast. So this was all noted in the EU statement, and if not implicitly, it was implied. If not explicitly, it was implied. So this is something that when EU notes it, India has noted it, Pakistan has noted it, everybody has congratulated Tariq Rahman for his party winning a landslide victory in these elections. It means that the world has accepted that at least a large portion of Bangladesh has decided to move on from their revolution as such. It is no longer its government, which of course was illegal according to Bangladesh's own constitution, which run under Muhammad Yunus, was illegal in all facets. Any decisions that were taken by him were not within his charter. His charter was only to keep the nation functioning and restore democracy as soon as possible, but he was doing defense deals, trade deals, and a whole lot of other changing out constitution. They were removing, adding words. So there was a whole lot of actions taken by Muhammad Yunus that he shouldn't have been doing. So the world is just happy to note that, okay, there is now an elected representative government. Even if it was not an inclusive election, even though there were derogatory remarks against women and minorities, at least the nation has decided to move on. And this gives, whether Sheikh Hasina is calling it an illegal election because her party is banned from it, and because it was called forth under by Muhammad Yunus, so he himself is illegal according to the Bangladeshi constitution. So she's calling it illegal. Even if she and her party reject the current state of Bangladesh, the rest of the world has decided to move on and take it to the next level. Democracy has found its feet again. There is an elected representative who will make the required changes for the betterment of Bangladesh, hopefully. So this EU statement and the statement by all the other world leaders is endorsement of the fact that Bangladesh is no longer in that interim state. They are willing to be part of the rest of the world via democracy and via inclusivity, if possible, in whatever state or format the current state of Bangladesh will permit.
And so building on your answer, yes, indeed, the situation was very volatile, but it seems like they are heading towards right direction. It was an exclusive election, yes, also. But what do you think, what made BNP more popular than other parties like Jamaat, and how would BNP balance the Bangladesh-Pakistan-India relationship moving forward? Because Yunus's government had changed the relationship between Bangladesh and Pakistan.
So the funny part is that today's rivals, our political allies when Awami League used to be contesting, such as Jamaat-e-Islami and BNP, have had an association which is long back, and both of them are very pro-Pakistan and pro-China and very anti-India. But does that mean that India, being the largest, being the close neighbor, almost landlocked with a small sliver open towards Myanmar, that is the landlocked state of Bangladesh, so them being anti-India did not really turn into a complete rejection of India. There was a difference, maybe cooling off in the diplomatic ties, but they never broke down as they did under the Yunus regime. And the Yunus regime, of course, fostered a whole lot of anti-India sentiment, and both these parties, while they were campaigning, continued to hold the similar sentiment, because somehow it was observed that if you speak against India, you get more votes. But the BNP's landslide victory comes from the fact that the Awami League voters have had to shift their base away from Jamaat-e-Islami, because they at least, as I've stated before on your channel and others as well, that it was a choice between the devil and the deep blue sea, and they decided they were better swimmers, so they chose the deep blue sea, that is the BNP. And of course, BNP also has roots in its 1971 liberation war. As in compared to where Jamaat-e-Islami, who were pro-Pakistan, they were the ones who were enacting all the atrocities on the Bangladeshis. So Jamaat-e-Islami, although having won 60 plus some seats, is not exactly a mirror of what Bangladesh fought for in its independence. BNP still has roots in pro-Bangladeshi actions, and with Awami League out of the contest altogether, at least they could place their hope and vote in BNP. That is one of the reasons why the won landslide victory. The other is the women voter decided to come forth and vote as much as they can against Jamaat-e-Islami. So some of the votes were against Jamaat-e-Islami because of their entire Sharia-minded outlook, which does not completely resonate with the Bangladeshi people and their culture. So the women voters were also a factor. Then there was a factor of a youth that wanted to bring in the change, and the youth vote was split between the Chhatra Shibir and the NCP. The NCP did not win as many seats. The Chhatra Shibir did better for themselves, and the Chhatra Shibir is the one there. Hadi, who was assassinated, and there was almost a second revolution in his name in Bangladesh. So people sympathetic to Hadi and his cause also voted for BNP. So that is one of these are the three main reasons why BNP got such a huge mandate from the people. There are, of course, they did come out with 10% of voter rigging and all of those, but when they realized it doesn't really change much of their game, they said, okay, we accept the mandate of the people and we will function towards bringing Bangladesh to its feet again, because now its GDP has crashed to almost half of what it was 18 months ago, and they have struggling with cash, and they're struggling with employment, they're struggling with electricity. So there is there's a mess of problems in Bangladesh as of now. And with the referendum, there is a whole mess that is going to continue for the next 180 days. So there is a lot of work to be done there for the government that is going to take place. and
Yes.
hopefully people will find that at least their vote was not cast in vain.
And last but not least, how do you think Bangladesh will and BNP party will move to balance their relationship with US and China?
Now, that is a good question
Thank
because
you.
BNP has traditionally been very pro China. But for me, I personally feel that Tariq Rahman coming in the month of December and winning in the month of February is a very US specific tactic, because they realized at the death of Hadi that they needed someone, and the delicate state that Khaleda Zia was in, that the Battle of Begums is now over for good, and they needed a new face, and they found that Tariq Rahman, although under investigation and has a lot of corruption charges against him, suddenly summarily found all those charges vanish, and nobody knows where the money went, of course, but all of those charges suddenly went away, and this man was welcomed as the hero of Bangladesh. So for me personally, it feels as if he has been placed there, rather than it being an organic development of a man who was away from this nation for close to 17 years.
Yes.
So he has been placed there. For me, he feels like a US stooge as of now. One that is more popular than Muhammad Yunus, because Muhammad Yunus has his own problems coming forth. And so he is hopefully going to take a more pro-US stance rather than a pro-China stance. But it's going to be very difficult for Bangladesh to completely decouple from China. China has invested 30 billion, if I'm not wrong, into Bangladesh. They have ports there. They have a special economic zone right before the elections that Muhammad Yunus decided to gift away in the Chattogram region, away from India, that was awarded to India. It was given then to China. So there are things that have happened in the past 18 months, and beyond that, under Awami League also, there was a whole lot of interaction between Awami League and Chinese government, and there was a lot of give and take of favors, of loans. So they are not going to find it very easy to decouple from China, but at least I hope that the political influence of China would be reduced under the US, my assumption, the US placed Tariq Rahman.
Interesting. You always open a third eye for me. Thank you very much, Ms.